been praying for a breakthrough, but God's been waiting on you to wake up. Not in your body, in your mind. You're not stuck because of the devil. You're stuck because of disorder. You're anointed, but you're out of alignment. You've got vision, but no structure. You've got passion, but no principle. And here's the raw truth. God doesn't bless disorder. He multiplies alignment. You want heaven to back you? Then put your life in divine order. Stop asking for overflow when you're out here operating in chaos. Stop begging for favor while ignoring fundamentals. God's not the author of confusion. He's the master of clarity, strategy, and systems. And if your house is out of order, your business will be out of order. If your spirit is out of order, your decisions will be dysfunctional. If your finances are out of order, you'll keep sowing in fear and calling it faith. Look, God isn't obligated to bless a mess. He blesses what reflects his nature. And his nature is excellence. His kingdom is structured. His ways are strategic. So if you want supernatural increase, you better get serious about spiritual alignment. That means your money flows according to mission. Your time serves your purpose. Your energy matches your assignment. Because God doesn't increase what you won't organize. He doesn't multiply what you refuse to manage. You can't carry kingdom wealth with a scattered life. You need order. You need discipline. You need alignment, not just with habits, but with heaven. This ain't about perfection. It's about positioning. When you put God first, everything else finds its place. But if you keep operating in dysfunction and expecting divine reward, you're not walking in faith, you're walking in fantasy. Get in alignment and watch how fast God moves. You can't outwork disobedience. I don't care how many hours you grind, I don't care how many clients you stack, I don't care how many zeros you've got sitting in that account. If you're disobeying divine order, you're building on sand, not stone. And when the storm hits, not if, when it hits, everything you thought was solid will collapse. Why? Because effort without obedience is just rebellion in disguise. This culture's got you fooled. It told you that if you work hard enough, you'll win. If you hustle long enough, you'll succeed. If you stay up later, push harder, move faster, you'll somehow unlock the blessing. But let me break the spell today. God is not manipulated by movement. He responds to it. Obedience. Some of y'all are sprinting in the wrong direction, full speed ahead, wondering why you're exhausted. You're praying for open doors that God never designed for you to walk through. You're asking for acceleration in areas he told you to release. You're climbing a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. And then you wonder why peace is absent and joy is missing. It's because you traded surrender for striving, and that never pays the way you think it will. Let me make it plain. God doesn't bless effort, he blesses alignment. You can't buy favor. You can't negotiate anointing. You can't earn your way into the room God designed to be unlocked by obedience. You can study all the marketing strategies. You can join 10 masterminds. You can double your ad spend, but none of that matters if your heart is rebellious and your spirit is deaf. There's a difference between activity and authority. You can be busy and still broke. You can be active and still unfruitful. Fruitfulness only comes when you are planted in obedience, not chasing trends, not mimicking what worked for them, but listening to the voice of God and moving when he says move. That's the difference between a kingdom entrepreneur and a worldly one. Kingdom builders don't chase paper, they steward purpose. Now hear this, God doesn't just want your grind, he wants your governance. He's not looking for another performer, he's looking for a steward, somebody who knows that the greatest strategy is submission. Somebody who doesn't just work hard, but works in order. Somebody who says, I'd rather make less in obedience than make millions in rebellion. Because when God is your source, you understand that his provision is better than your promotion. You've got the work ethic, but your results are capped because your heart's not surrendered. And God in his mercy is blocking your breakthrough, not because he's punishing you, but because he refuses to let success become your idol. He loves you too much to bless your disobedience. You can't out-hustle dishonor. You can't out-market misalignment. You can't outperform a word from heaven that you chose to ignore. God isn't your backup plan. He's your blueprint. And if he's not first, the whole plan is flawed. You've been building your brand like it's yours, talking about my business, my money, my dream. But if it didn't come from God, you'll spend your life chasing wind and calling it progress. The blueprint isn't in your head, it's in his hands. And if you're not seeking him first, you're already second guessing your destiny. Let me say it real clear. God doesn't fund rebellion. He funds stewardship. He funds obedience. He funds kingdom line visions that glorify his name, not yours. If you're tired of being tired, check your blueprint. If you're tired of the constant pivot, the endless stress, the lack of clarity, check your source. You're making plans and asking God to co-sign them like he works for you. You're building castles that look impressive on the outside, but are spiritually bankrupt on the inside. You don't need another coach, you need conviction. You don't need another funnel, you need faith. You don't need more data, you need divine direction. The reason God's not moving isn't because he's distant, it's because you've sidelined him. It's made him a consultant instead of the CEO. And I don't care how smart you are, if God's not first, your foundation is fractured. Because success built on rebellion is just failure in disguise. You want to shift everything? Here's how. Fire yourself. Step down as the leader of your own life. Quit acting like you're the source. Hand over the blueprint. Lay down the ego and say, God, you speak, I'll build, you lead, I'll follow, you instruct, I'll execute. You do that. You'll see what real success looks like. You'll see how favor can flood places that effort never could. You'll watch how peace replaces pressure. You'll witness what happens when God breathes on your vision, not because you earned it, but because you finally surrendered it. Obedience is the accelerator. Alignment is the key. God first is the non-negotiable. So the question isn't how hard are you working? The question is how aligned are you walking? Because if God isn't your blueprint, your brilliance won't be enough. If God isn't the architect, your ambition will betray you. If God isn't first, your foundation is failure, no matter how shiny it looks. This is the moment. Get in order, put God first, not later, not next week, not when the business scales. Now, let me make it plain. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. Don't try to dress it up. Don't slap a justification on it. Don't spiritualize your hesitation. If God told you to move and you're still standing still, you're not being cautious, you're being rebellious. And rebellion is expensive. There is nothing more costly than missing a divine moment because you were waiting on a second confirmation for something. God already made clear, God doesn't stutter. If he said do it and you're still praying about it 2 months later, that's not discernment. That's disobedience hiding behind a prayer life that lacks courage. Let me talk to the entrepreneur right now, the one sitting on the strategy God gave them last year, the one who keeps rewriting the plan instead of executing the vision, the one who keeps asking for a sign when God gave them a seed and expected stewardship. Hear me. God doesn't multiply what you won't move. He doesn't bless what you won't build, and he doesn't increase what you keep ignoring. The kingdom is not for the passive. The kingdom is for the obedient. To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. 1 Samuel 15:22. You think you're sacrificing your time, sacrificing your money, sacrificing your comfort. But God's not impressed with offerings that are disconnected from obedience. You're trying to buy delay with extra effort, and that's not how the kingdom works. Delayed obedience forfeits favor. God's not waiting on you to be perfect. He's waiting on you to be obedient. And partial obedience is still full rebellion. Ask Saul. He lost his throne because he tried to adjust what God said instead of obeying what God commanded. Some of you are adjusting your assignment to fit your preferences and calling it wisdom. It's not wisdom. It's fear dressed in logic. Let's get this straight. You don't get to negotiate kingdom instructions. You execute them or you exit the blessing. You want supernatural results? Then walk in supernatural obedience. Obey when it's uncomfortable. Obey when it costs you. Obey when it makes no sense to your network, because your network didn't give you the calling. Let me say something bold. Your delay is the reason your breakthrough is delayed. You're not waiting on God. God's waiting on you to move your feet. He gave you the instruction. He gave you the vision. He gave you the seed, but you keep stalling. And every day you stall, the enemy steals, not because he's stronger, but because your silence gave him permission. Delayed obedience is disobedience, period. And let's go even deeper, because some of y'all think you can compartmentalize your obedience. You obey God in tithing, but not in forgiving. You obey God in prayer, but not in execution. You obey God in public, but not in private. But what you won't give God control over will control you. Let that hit. If you don't surrender your business will become your idol. If you don't surrender your time will be stolen by distractions. If you don't surrender your emotions will wreck your destiny. What you refuse to place under God's authority will rise up and become your authority. And the worst part, you'll call it normal. You'll normalize stress. You'll normalize dysfunction. You'll normalize being bound to a schedule that God never authored. And let me tell you something, what you don't give to God, the enemy will gladly manage for you. He'll take your business and turn it into a source of anxiety. He'll take your ambition and twist it into addiction. He'll take your relationships and use them to rob your peace. But when you give it to God, I mean fully hand it over, you don't lose control, you gain dominion. You don't surrender to get less. You surrender to receive the full measure of what he promised. You've been negotiating with God like you're equals. You're not partners, he's Lord. You don't bring him into your business to bless it. You build it on him so it doesn't break. Let me ask you, what are you holding back? Is it your money, your vision, your time, your past, your schedule? Because whatever it is, if God doesn't own it, you're a slave to it. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money. Matthew 6:24, that's not just about finances, that's about function. You're either governed by the Spirit or governed by your stuff. You're either led by God or driven by fear. And fear has one assignment, to keep you safe, small, and stuck. But God has a different assignment, to elevate you through obedience, expand you through faith, and empower you through submission. So let's stop sugarcoating this. You don't have a money problem, you've got a lordship problem. You don't have a clarity problem, you've got a surrender problem. Because when Jesus is Lord, not just Savior, not just a Sunday title, but Lord, your business changes, your thinking shifts, your results compound. Why? Because God is never obligated to bless what he doesn't own. And when he owns it, he multiplies it. So today's the day to flip the script. No more delayed obedience. No more partial surrender. No more fear-laced hesitation. God's looking for people he can trust with territory, with wealth, with impact. And he doesn't trust perfection, he trusts obedience. So take the thing you've been holding on to, the habit, the vision, the plan, the platform, and give it back. Give him your marketing, give him your meetings, give him your money, because when God is first, everything else falls into place. Don't just hear this, do it. Don't just post about obedience, practice it. Don't just talk about surrender, walk in it, because delayed obedience is disobedience, and what you don't give to God will control your destiny. But when you give it all, God releases it all, and that's when the overflow begins. God doesn't bless disorder, he multiplies alignment. You think God is going to bless your chaos? You think he's going to anoint your confusion just because you're passionate? Stop playing. God doesn't move through mess, he moves through order, kingdom order, divine structure, spiritual alignment. You want overflow, but your priorities are out of place. Your schedule is a circus, and your values shift with your emotions. Don't ask for multiplication if your foundation is fractured. God blesses what's in order. You align it, he amplifies it. You submit it, he stretches it. You structure it, he supercharges it. But you keep living like discipline is optional and calling it grace? Nah. Grace doesn't replace order, it empowers it. If your house, your business, your habits are out of order, don't expect supernatural flow. Order is the container for overflow. Until you honor that law, you'll keep watching others rise while you're stuck recycling potential. If God ain't first, you're already out of order. Let's stop playing spiritual games. If God ain't first, you're last and don't even know it. You've got him somewhere on the list between your emails and your calendar, and you wonder why your vision feels flat. If God's not the center, the rest don't matter, period. You don't need more time, you need divine priority. You're praying for breakthroughs, but you're building a life where he's an accessory, not the architect. That's why it ain't working. Your strategy isn't off, your order is off. And God doesn't bless being second, third, or squeezed in when you feel spiritual. He blesses first fruits, first place, first say. You want kingdom results? put the king in his rightful place. In your money, in your mind, in your meetings, first in your business, not after the budget, first in your decisions, not after the disaster. You don't fix your life by grinding harder. You fix it by putting God where he belongs first. Success without submission is spiritual sabotage. You can climb the ladder, build the brand, scale the business, and still sabotage your soul if submission ain't at the core. What good is success if it costs you obedience? What good is the money if your heart is off mission? You think you're winning, but if God didn't authorize it, you're just drifting in a dressed up rebellion. Let's be real. Kingdom success isn't just about income. It's about order. It's about operating under authority before trying to walk in authority. Submission isn't weakness. It's weaponized trust. It says, God, I'll go where you send me, even if it costs me what I built without you. And that's where power starts. That's where peace lives. Because when you submit to the source, the blessing isn't seasonal, it's sustained. So check your heart. Are you chasing the throne or following the king? Because success without submission might impress people, but it offends heaven. Stop chasing the bag and start following the builder. You out here burning out for a bag God never told you to chase. Hustling for status, clout, and cash, but you forgot who built the system that blesses. God is not in the bag. He's in the blueprint. You want real wealth? Stop chasing the resource and follow the source. You're chasing quick wins while the enemy is stealing your calling right under your nose. The devil loves a distracted entrepreneur, someone who talks kingdom but moves like culture. The bag ain't your savior. The bag ain't your purpose. You chase the builder and the bag starts chasing you because God funds what he authors. That means if he didn't build it, don't expect him to bankroll it. You're out of breath because you're out of alignment. But when you follow the builder, he supplies, he multiplies, he expands, not just your income, your impact. So stop running after the money, start running with the mission. If your mindset isn't renewed, your money will stay the same. Don't expect financial elevation with mental stagnation. You can't walk in abundance with a poverty mindset. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7, you're not broke because your bank account, you're broke because your belief system. You think small, you speak lack, you budget from fear instead of faith, and you call it wisdom when really it's bondage. You don't need another hustle, you need a renewed mind. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's a kingdom principle. You don't get new money until you get new mental patterns. You've got to upgrade the internal before God can release the external. Stop trying to change your life with an old mindset. You want overflow? Then fix your filter. Prosperity is a promise, but your mindset is the gatekeeper. Until you believe differently, you'll earn the same, charge the same, and live beneath what God promised. God doesn't prosper laziness. He honors diligence. Let's kill this soft gospel that says you can pray your way to prosperity while being passive. Faith without works is dead. James 2:17. God's not dropping millions on the lazy. Heaven is not sponsoring slackers. You want kingdom wealth? Get kingdom work ethic. The Proverbs 31 woman was moving. Joseph was managing. David was fighting. Paul was writing. God uses the diligent, not the dormant. You think because you tithe that windows of heaven will open? Sure. But the open over what you're doing. You can't bless what you won't build. You want more clients, but you haven't mastered consistency. You want passive income, but you're living with passive habits. That's not it's fantasy. The kingdom rewards the faithful, and faithfulness looks like showing up when it's hard, producing when it's dry, and stewarding when it's small. If you're lazy, don't expect increase. God doesn't prosper excuses. He multiplies action. Let me make it plain. This is your line in the sand. Not next week, not when you feel ready, not after you finish overthinking. Now. You've heard the truth, raw and unapologetic. You've been handed keys, laws, and principles that unlock the very gates of wealth, purpose, and dominion. But keys don't open doors unless you use them. This ain't theory. This is kingdom. This is blood-bought authority. This is God saying, I gave you breath. I gave you gifts. I gave you time. Now what are you doing with it? You've been called to rule, not to run. You've been appointed to rise, not retreat. But the blessing won't drop out of the sky. It flows through alignment, obedience, diligence, and dominion. You keep praying for elevation, but heaven is asking for execution. You want to prosper? Then live like you belong to the King. Think like it. Speak like it, move like it, because this world doesn't need another passive believer. It needs bold builders who put God first, walk in power, and refuse to live small. Stop letting fear disguise itself as wisdom. Stop calling delay patience when it's really disobedience in a church suit. Stop chasing results without first submitting to the source. This is kingdom business, and you're the CEO God appointed. So take what you've heard, put it in motion, and don't look back. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Create it. Don't ask if it's your season. Declare it. The time is now. The mantle is yours. The move is on you. Put God first, and everything else will fall in place. Walk it, work it, and watch him blow your mind. Stop playing small. Either build with God or get out the way. This is your moment. Move or miss it. If you talk to yourself like this for just 3 days, your entire life would shift. I'm not saying that to hype you up. I'm saying that because truth, when applied with discipline, produces transformation. We live in a world where people are fluent in doubt, but stutter in belief. They've rehearsed failure so long, success feels like a foreign language. But let me tell you something. Your life will never rise higher than the conversations you're having with yourself when no one else is listening. Because your words, they're not just sounds, they are spiritual containers. And whatever you put in them, you're going to live out. Some of you are trying to change your life with strategy, but still speak to yourself like a victim. Strategy without identity is sabotage. You keep calling yourself broke, stuck, tired, confused, and then wonder why those labels keep showing up in your life. It's because you don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe. And what you believe comes out of your mouth. So for just 3 days, talk to yourself like the person you were created to be. I'm not talking about lying, I'm talking about prophesying. You've been describing your problems. Now it's time to declare your promises. You've been speaking from your situation. Now speak from your position. You are not what you've been through. You are what you've been called to. When you wake up, speak life. I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm wise. I walk in purpose. I operate in peace. I don't chase. I attract. The right people and the right resources are looking for me right now. Don't wait until it's real to say it. Say it until it becomes real. Because words create and faith is activated by sound. For 3 days, refuse to say anything negative about yourself, not even in a joke. Don't speak defeat. Don't speak doubt. Don't even casually say, I'm tired, or I'm broke, or I'm trying. You are not trying. You are transforming. You are not waiting. You are walking. Every time you speak life, you are tilling the soil of your destiny. You might not see the change on day 1. You might not feel different on day 2, but by day 3, something begins to shift, not just around you, but in you. You start to believe it, and when you believe it, you become it. Your voice is your vehicle. Talk to yourself like you're already where you want to be, and watch your life rise to meet your words. Just 3 days. That's all it takes to start. Talk to yourself like this, and you won't recognize yourself by the end of it. Words shape worlds. That's not a slogan, that's a spiritual law. Before there was light, before there was land, before there was life, there were words. Everything you see was spoken before it was seen. The universe wasn't built with bricks. It was built with breath. And you, made in the image of the Creator, we're given that same power. You don't just speak language, you create with it. Your mouth is a production studio, your tongue is the director, and your words are the script. Every time you speak, you're either constructing a future or canceling one. You're either building a platform for purpose or a prison of limitation. People think their circumstances shape them. No, it's their sentences. The words you repeat to yourself become the instructions your mind follows. If you keep saying, I can't, don't be surprised when your potential never gets permission to move. If you keep saying nothing ever works out for me, your life will find a way to fulfill that prophecy. Not because it's true, but because you keep affirming it as truth. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you speak to. If you want to change your world, start with your words. Stop describing what is and start declaring what will be. Your words should serve your vision, not your victimhood. Stop talking about how hard it is. Start talking about how worthy you are. Stop rehearsing the rejection. Start declaring your direction. And don't just speak it once. Speak it until your faith catches up, until your feelings follow, until your life lines up. Because words aren't magic, but they are magnetic. They draw what you say closer to your reality. You speak it before you see it, not because you're lying, but because you're leading. Your mouth is not a mirror, it's a paintbrush. Don't just reflect your environment, create a new one. The most powerful thing you can do today isn't hustle harder, it's speak better. Because words don't just shape what's next, they shape who you become. Speak wisely, speak boldly, speak intentionally. Because your words don't just echo, they build. Identity before activity. That means who you are comes before what you do. The world will try to reverse that. It'll tell you to hustle first, grind harder, stack achievements, and maybe then you'll be enough. But let me tell you the truth. If you don't know who you are, nothing you do will ever be enough. You don't become valuable when you perform. You are valuable because you were created with purpose, on purpose. You are formed with greatness already in your DNA. But most people are living backward, trying to build confidence through action instead of building action on the foundation of identity. And that's why they burn out. That's why they hustle and grind and achieve and still feel empty. Because activity without identity is a treadmill, not a transformation. Think about this. A lion doesn't chase mice, not because he can't catch them, but because it's beneath his nature. It's not about ability, it's about identity. When you know who you are, you stop entertaining distractions, you stop negotiating your value, you stop performing for acceptance and start moving from authority. When you wake up in the morning, don't start your day by checking your to-do list. Start by reminding yourself of your identity. I am chosen. I am equipped. I am powerful. I am the head and not the tail. I am the solution to somebody's problem today. Because activity that flows from that level of belief hits different. It's not forced. It's aligned. You're not striving. You're executing from overflow. Most people chase purpose through performance, but you don't earn purpose, you awaken to it. And that awakening starts when you stop trying to become and start remembering who you already are. Because once identity is settled, activity becomes effortless. You move with intention, you act with clarity, you execute with confidence, not because you're trying to prove something, but because you know your position for something greater. So before you get busy, get grounded. Before you build the thing, become the person. Speak to your identity daily, boldly, consistently, and watch how your activity starts to align with the level of your calling. Speak in seed form, not in circumstance. That means stop using your words to describe what you see. Start using them to declare what you sow. Your current situation is soil, Your words are the seed. And too many people keep planting weeds with their mouth, then praying for a harvest of blessings. It doesn't work like that. You have to speak from your vision, not your vantage point. Because circumstances change, they lie, they deceive. Circumstances say you're broke. Circumstances say you're stuck. Circumstances say you're unqualified. But if you let that be the vocabulary you speak, you give power to a temporary condition and let it shape a permanent reality. You've got to start speaking what you want even when it looks like the opposite. That's not denial, that's dominion. Farmers don't plant based on what they see in the field today. They plant based on what they want to see in the season to come. They don't look at empty soil and say, well, nothing's growing, so I guess I'll just wait and see. No. They get out the seed, they plant with expectation, and they speak with certainty about what's coming. Your words have to do the same. Stop saying, I'm not ready, and start saying, I'm being prepared. Stop saying, I never catch a break, and start saying, I'm walking into divine favor. Stop saying, I don't know how, and start saying, wisdom is flowing to me daily. That's seed talk. That's faith talk. That's how you shift from survival to strategy. And don't get discouraged when the seed doesn't sprout overnight. The seed is working even when it's buried. It's growing under the surface. Your job is not to worry about the speed. Your job is to stay consistent with the seed. Speak it, water it, protect it from the weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity. Keep speaking harvest even when you only see dirt. People who walk in power don't speak from circumstance, they speak from covenant. They know that words aren't commentary, they are commands. So when you speak, speak with authority, speak with vision, speak with intentionality, because every word you release is planting something, and you always harvest in the same form you plant. So the question is, are you planting problems or promises, complaints or calling? Speak in seed form and watch your future bloom. Talk from the end, not the middle. Most people are narrating their life like they're stuck in the struggle, not realizing they were never meant to stay there. They keep speaking from the middle of the mess instead of the victory that's already written. But listen, the power is in your perspective. The middle might feel real, but the end is final. And if you want to walk in victory, you've got to talk like you've already arrived, not like you're still trying to survive. The middle is where doubt lives. It's where confusion creeps in. It's where people start second guessing their path, their purpose, their progress. But you were never called to speak from the storm. You were called to speak through it. The end is already secured. The promise is already made. And your words need to sound like someone who believes that. When you talk from the end, you don't say, I hope I make it. You say it's already done. You don't say, I'm just trying to figure it out. You say, I have clarity, wisdom, and divine strategy. You don't say, maybe one day I'll be successful. You say, I'm already walking in my assignment. And every day it's unfolding exactly as it should. You've got to rehearse the result, not the resistance, because the middle will lie to you. It'll magnify the pain and minimize the promise. But when you talk from the end, you speak as if the door is already open, as if the resources are already on their way, as if the version of you're becoming is already here and you're just catching up to it. This is how visionaries move. They speak from completion, not confusion. They don't wait until it's manifested to speak it. They speak it until it manifests. And when people look at them crazy and say, who do you think you are? They don't shrink. They say, I know exactly who I am. I'm just talking from the end while you're still stuck in the middle. Talking from the end isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It means your words match the outcome, not the obstacle. It means you're calling things that be not as though they were, because that's how the future responds. Not to fear, not to doubt, but to faith. So stop narrating the middle like it's the final chapter. The middle is just the setup. Speak from the victory. Speak from the vision. Speak from the end, and your life will start catching up to your words. Affirmation is activation. This isn't about cute quotes or empty hype. This is about spiritual law, about kingdom principles, about understanding the creative power you've been walking around with and either using it to build or letting it sit dormant. When you speak an affirmation, you're not just making a statement. You're flipping a switch in the spirit and in your subconscious. You're turning potential into power. You're moving from intention to ignition. Most people don't fail because they don't have the ability. They fail because they never activate it. They sit on the runway of life with wings but never take off. Why? Because their words keep them grounded. You can't fly speaking failure. You can't move speaking maybe. You have to speak what's already in you until it comes alive. Affirmation isn't just about confidence. It's about alignment. When you affirm who you are, you're syncing your speech with your source. You're saying, I agree with heaven about who I am. You're saying, I co-sign my calling. You're saying, I'm not asking for permission. I'm stepping into position. And here's the truth. Heaven responds to faith-filled language. Affirmation is not passive. It's active. It's the sound that attracts solutions. It's the signal that tells your mind, your spirit, your environment, wake up, we've got something to do. When you say, I am powerful, power starts stirring. When you say, I am favored, doors start recognizing you. When you say, I am walking in purpose, purpose begins pulling you into rooms you didn't even know. That's why you can't just think good thoughts. You've got to say them. Thoughts are private. Affirmations are declarations. And what you declare, you give life to. The world was spoken into existence, not just imagined. So what makes you think you can stay silent and still see change? Say it out loud. I am a magnet for abundance. I am a carrier of breakthrough. I am chosen, equipped, anointed, and advancing. These aren't just phrases. They're keys. And every time you speak them, you unlock something in your atmosphere and in yourself. So no, affirmation isn't fluff. It's fire. It's a weapon. It's strategy. It's how you stir the gift. It's how you wake up your next level. Because the moment you speak it, you don't just believe it more. You become it more. Affirmation is activation. So open your mouth, speak on purpose, and flip the switch. 3 days. That's it, just 3 days of speaking faith, and you can start to undo years, maybe decades, of limitation, lack, and low-level living. I'm not saying your whole life will change in 3 days. I'm saying that you will. And when you change, your life has to follow. Because your words are not just sounds, they're systems. You've been speaking in cycles, and you've been living in those same cycles. Words like, I always mess this up. Nothing ever works out for me. I don't have what it takes. Those phrases become chains. You've been locked up by your own language. But when you speak faith, you don't just break the cycle, you rewrite the system. 3 days of faithful speech is more than a challenge. It's a reset. It's a spiritual detox. It's a divine interruption to the default settings you've been living with. You might have grown up hearing you're not enough. You might have failed and started believing it meant you weren't called. But the truth is that was never your final word. And when you start speaking what heaven says about you, you start dissolving what hell tried to place on you. Try it. For 3 days, don't let anything come out of your mouth that doesn't agree with your future. Not one word of fear, not one sentence of shame, not one joke that tears yourself down. Just speak faith, speak identity, speak destiny. You'll feel awkward at first, maybe even fake, but that's just because you've been fluent in limitation for too long. This is a new language now. And just like any language, the more you speak it, the more natural it becomes. And you'll notice something. On day 1, your mind will resist. On day 2, it'll start to listen. By day 3, it'll begin to believe. And once belief shifts, everything else gets in line. Your confidence changes, your energy changes, your decisions change. You'll start walking like you're already there. You'll start attracting what matches your identity, not your insecurity. And what if that one shift, that 3-day decision to speak with faith, intention, and authority becomes the catalyst for your breakthrough? What if everything that's been delayed starts moving because your words finally agree with your assignment? 3 days. That's all it takes to shake the foundation of limitation and start building something new. Because when you change your words, you change your world. And when you speak life with boldness, heaven echoes back, "Let there be." So now you know. This isn't just motivation, this is activation. For 3 days, you've been invited to interrupt every pattern of small thinking, every sentence that's kept you stuck, every casual word that's carried the weight of limitation. You've been given the keys, not to fake it, but to faith it, to talk like someone who's already won, to speak like your future depends on it, because it does. You're not waiting for breakthrough, you're speaking it. You're not hoping for transformation, you're declaring it. Identity before activity. Speak in seed form. Talk from the end. Affirmation is activation. And your voice, your words are the starting point of everything. You don't need a year. You don't need a full plan. You just need 3 days of discipline. 3 days of talking to yourself like God talks about you, like your destiny is already here, like your past has no more permission, like your next level is waiting on your language to catch up. So take the challenge. Speak like you mean it. Speak like it's already done. And don't stop at 3 days. Because once you taste the power of aligned, intentional, faithful speech, you'll never go back to casual words again. Change your language and your life will follow. Your mouth is the pen, your words are the ink, and your future is still being written. So speak wisely, speak boldly, and speak on purpose. Because the world you want is waiting on the words you say. Let me tell you something right now. God will open the right door. So don't worry. That thing you're stressing over, that opportunity you think you missed, that connection that didn't call you back, that deal that fell through, that dream that still feels stuck in neutral, stop pacing the hallway. If the door didn't open, it wasn't yours. Not yet. See, we confuse delay with denial, but God doesn't waste time. He uses it. When it looks like nothing's happening, everything is happening behind the scenes. He's not just preparing the door, he's preparing you, because if you step into something you're not ready for, that blessing will feel like a burden. You think God's ignoring you? Nah, he's protecting you. Some doors are shut because what's behind them could destroy what he's developing in you. You wanted the promotion, but he saw the pressure. You wanted the relationship, but he saw the heartbreak. You wanted the stage, but he knew the weight of the spotlight would crush an unprepared character. So stop crying over closed doors. They are divine barricades, customized protection, heavenly no trespassing signs, keeping you out of rooms that aren't built for your destiny. And I get it. It's hard to wait. But hear me, real faith doesn't flinch when the door is locked. Real faith says, I don't need to know when, I just need to know who, and I know the one who holds the key. He opens what no man can shut and shuts what no man can open. And when he opens it, it stays open. But don't miss this. Obedience is your access code. Some of you are asking for open doors, but living like spiritual squatters. You're out of alignment and wondering why favor's not flowing. Obedience puts you in the position for overflow. You don't have to chase opportunity. Just walk in integrity and opportunity will chase you. And let's talk about timing. God's not interested in your calendar. You want it fast, but he wants it right. We pray for microwave miracles, but God's running a slow-cooked strategy. He's lining up people, positioning favor, preparing resources you haven't even imagined yet. His timing is not convenient, it's perfect. It's not late, it's strategic. So what do you do in the meantime? You worship, you praise, you stop worrying, stop whining, and start walking like it's already done, because worrying is wasted worship. You can't trust God and doubt him at the same time. You can't say he's your provider and panic when the bank account dips. You can't claim he's your waymaker and freak out when the road gets bumpy. Worry is fear rehearsed. Worship is faith released. So today I came to tell you this: breathe, relax. The right door is not just coming, it's being crafted with your name on it. Stay faithful, stay focused, stay ready. And when that door swings open, don't hesitate. Walk through it like you were made for it, because you were. And remember, God will open the right door, so don't worry. Delay is not denial. It's divine preparation. But most people miss that because we've been trained to believe that if something doesn't happen instantly, it's not meant to be. We live in a culture of instant gratification, microwave breakthroughs, and overnight success stories. But God doesn't operate on that clock. He's not in a rush. He's in control. When things don't happen on your schedule, it doesn't mean God said no. Sometimes it just means he's working on the version of you that can handle the weight of what you prayed for. There's a difference between wanting something and being ready for it. You might want the stage, but can your character handle the spotlight? You might want the business, but are your systems in place? You might want the marriage, but have you healed from the last heartbreak? God will not give you something that will sabotage your soul. So the delay isn't punishment, it's protection. It's development. It's heaven doing construction on your foundation so the blessing won't break you when it shows up. Think about it. A seed doesn't grow the moment you plant it. There's a season of darkness, of silence, of deep soil moments where nothing looks like it's changing, but roots are going down. Strength is forming. And when the time is right, it breaks through. If you dig it up too soon, you kill what God was growing. So stop interpreting silence as absent. Stop interpreting waiting as wasting. That delay is doing something. It's maturing you. It's stretching your faith. It's teaching you how to trust God, not just for the blessing, but through the process. You don't need to panic in the delay. You need to prepare. Because when God finally says now, you won't have time to get ready. You'll have to be ready. So shift your mindset. Delay is not a closed door. It's just the hallway. And how you carry yourself in the hallway determines how you'll walk through the door. Don't despise the delay. Embrace it. Because it's not a detour. It's divine preparation. Closed doors are customized protection. Not all rejection is the enemy. Sometimes it's divine intervention in disguise. We think that when a door shuts in our face, it's because we failed or weren't good enough. But what if the very thing you're crying over is the thing God used to save you? See, God sees the full picture. You're looking at the moment. He's looking at the mission. You're focused on what you want. He's focused on what you need. So when a door closes, it's not random. It's not personal. It's precise. It's customized, tailor-made for your protection based on information you don't have yet. You don't know what's behind that opportunity you were begging for. You don't know what kind of weight, temptation, or distraction was waiting to pull you off track, but God does. And when he says no, it's not a punishment. It's a boundary. A loving father doesn't give his child everything they ask for. He gives them what's best for them, even if they don't understand it yet. That job you didn't get, maybe that environment would have drained your passion. That relationship that didn't work out, maybe it would have damaged your purpose. That deal that didn't go through, maybe it would have opened a door to compromise. God doesn't just protect your life, he protects your legacy. So when he shuts a door, it's not just about the now, it's about your future. It's about preserving your assignment, your integrity, your peace. And here's the thing, just because a door looks good doesn't mean it's God. The enemy can open doors too. Opportunity doesn't always mean destiny. That's why discernment matters. Just because it pays well doesn't mean it's your path. Just because it feels right doesn't mean it is right. That's why we have to learn to trust the one who sees what we can't. So instead of getting mad at the door that didn't open, start thanking God for what he protected you from. Start praising him for the no's that saved your soul. You'll look back one day and realize that closed door was the greatest blessing you never asked for. Closed doors aren't setbacks, they're setups. They are reroutes, not rejections. And if you really trust God, you'll stop trying to kick down what he's locked up. Because if he closed it, you don't want it. Let him protect you, even when it hurts. Faith doesn't flinch at locked doors. Real faith doesn't panic when things don't open right away. It doesn't run when the answer isn't instant, and it doesn't fold when the opportunity seems sealed shut. Faith stands its ground, not because of what it sees, but because of who it trusts. If your faith needs a visible sign to stay strong, that's not faith. It's just observation. Faith is believing God is working, even when every door in your life says access denied. It's saying, I know what it looks like, but I trust what he said. Faith isn't scared of silence. It isn't intimidated by a season of waiting. And it doesn't break down just because the path isn't clear. A locked door doesn't mean God forgot you. Sometimes it's there to strengthen your spiritual stamina. Can you still believe when nothing moves? Can you still worship when the answer is not yet? Can you still declare God's goodness when the door stays shut? That's where real faith lives, not in the outcome, but in the obedience, not in the breakthrough, but in the belief. Faith is when you're staring at a locked door and instead of doubting, you say, God's got the key and he opens things in the right season. And get this, just because a door is locked to you doesn't mean it's locked to God. He doesn't need permission to move. He doesn't need help to make a way. The door might be locked from your side, but the owner of the house holds the master key. He can open it whenever he wants. He can bring favor from places you never expected. He can shift situations that look stuck for years in a moment. So don't let the lock discourage you. Let it drive you deeper into trust. Locked doors are not a sign to give up. They're a call to go up in your faith. Speak life even when the hallway feels endless. Stay expectant. Keep your posture of praise, because when God opens that door, it won't be a crack. It'll be a swing wide, undeniable move of heaven. Faith doesn't flinch. It leans in. It stays ready. It prepares like the door could open at any moment, because with God, it can. Obedience unlocks access. Everybody wants favor, but not everybody wants to follow instructions. We love the promise, but we skip over the process. Make no mistake, God doesn't release what you're not ready to steward, and readiness is revealed through obedience. There are doors you've been praying for that won't open just because you ask. They open when you align. You can't live out of order and expect overflow. You can't ignore what God already told you and then ask him for what's next. God doesn't bless rebellion. He blesses obedience. Obedience isn't just about behavior. It's about posture. It's about saying, God, I trust your way even when it doesn't make sense. I'll go where you lead even if it's uncomfortable. I'll do what you ask even if it costs me something, because here's the truth. Your next level is on the other side of your last instruction. You're not waiting on God. He might be waiting on you. Some of us are standing at doors asking for favor, but God's saying, I gave you a key. You just haven't used it. That key is obedience. It's waking up early to pray when your flesh wants to sleep. It's walking away from relationships he told you to let go of. It's saying no to what feels good so you can say yes to what is good. It's managing your resources well. Forgiving when it hurts, serving when nobody's watching. When you obey, you position yourself for access. And that access isn't just about what you get, it's about who you become. Obedience develops character. It shapes your spirit. It prepares you for the weight of what you're walking into. Because favor without formation is dangerous. God won't open a door that your character isn't ready to walk through. And let's be clear, obedience is not always glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's sacrificial, but it's always worth it. Every time you obey, heaven takes notice. Every time you honor God in the little things, he trusts you with bigger things. You don't have to manipulate your way into rooms. You don't have to network your way into purpose. You don't have to force anything. Just stay faithful, stay aligned, stay obedient, and when the time is right, the door will open, and it won't be one you had to beg for. It'll be one you were built for. Because obedience doesn't just move the hand of God. It opens the doors only he can unlock. God's timing is strategic, not convenient. That's a hard truth to swallow when you're ready now, when the vision is burning in your chest, when you've been faithful, obedient, consistent, and it still hasn't happened. But let me remind you, just because you're ready emotionally doesn't mean you're ready spiritually. And just because you want it now doesn't mean it's the right time. God doesn't operate on your deadlines. He's not checking your calendar or adjusting to your 5-year plan. He's not in a rush to prove himself. He's in the business of perfection. His timing is layered with strategy, not urgency. Every delay, every detour, every not yet is orchestrated to align with something bigger than you can see. You want it fast, he wants it right. You want it soon, he wants it strong. Because convenience might make you feel good, but strategy makes you built for what's coming. That's why God takes his time. He's not just preparing the blessing for you, he's preparing you for the blessing. And if he gave it too soon, it might crush you instead of crown you. Think about Joseph. He had the dream at 17, but the palace didn't come until years later. In between was betrayal, prison, and silence. But all of it was strategic. Every low place was training ground for high places. Every delay was a setup for destiny. The timing wasn't convenient, but it was perfect. That's how God moves. He's setting things in motion that you can't see. He's aligning people, shifting circumstances, removing obstacles, opening hearts, opening your eyes. And sometimes the only reason it hasn't happened yet is because if it had, you would have thought you did it. But when he does it in his time, there'll be no confusion. It was all him. So stop trying to microwave what God is slow cooking. Stop rushing a process that's designed to refine you. Stop calling it a delay when it's actually divine design. The timing of God is intentional, not accidental. It's crafted with precision, purpose, and power. You're not being overlooked. You're being positioned. Not being forgotten. You're being fortified. And when the moment comes, when the strategy of heaven meets the faithfulness of your journey, you won't have to fight for it. It'll fall right into place. Because when God moves, he moves suddenly, but don't confuse suddenly with quick. What feels sudden to you has been in motion for years, and when it hits, it'll be so right, so smooth, so undeniable that you'll say, only God. God's not late. God's not late, he's just strategic. And when he shows up, it won't be convenient, but it will be perfect. Worry is a waste of worship. Every moment you spend worrying is a moment you're not trusting. It's a moment where your mind rehearses fear instead of releasing faith. And the truth is, worry doesn't change anything except your peace. It won't move God faster, and it won't make the outcome better. All it does is drain your joy, distort your perspective, and delay your obedience. Worry is the enemy of worship because it shifts your focus from God's power to your problems. You start magnifying the obstacle instead of the one who can overcome it. You start obsessing over the what ifs instead of standing on the he said. Worry takes your eyes off the promise and glues them to the problem. It blinds you to what God is doing because you're too busy trying to control what he already has under control. You can't worship and worry at the same time. Your heart can't bow in two directions. One leads to panic, the other to peace. One drains you, the other fills you. One spirals you into fear, the other lifts you into faith. Worship reminds you of who God is, his power, his track record, his faithfulness. Worry forgets all of that and pretends like you're on your own. But you're not on your own. You serve a God who sees, who knows, who provides. A God who's never been late, never been confused, never needed your backup plan. So why let anxiety take the wheel when the one who holds the universe holds your future? Let's be real. Worry comes easy. It feels like something productive. You think if you stress over it enough, maybe you'll find a solution. But worry never built anything. It never opened a door. It never healed a heart. Worship, on the other hand, shifts the atmosphere. It breaks chains. It invites heaven into your situation. Worship is not just a song. It's a weapon. And the enemy knows if he can keep you worried, he can keep you distracted from using it. That's why you've got to make a decision. Every time worry shows up, you answer it with worship. When your mind says, what if it doesn't work out? You respond, even if it doesn't, God is still good. When fear whispers, you're not going to make it, you declare, I've made it through worse, and God hasn't failed me yet. Turn your worry into worship by flipping the script. Instead of, why is this happening? Ask, what is God teaching me? Instead of, how will I make it? Declare, God will supply all my needs. That shift in perspective moves you from panic to praise, from surviving to standing strong. So the next time anxiety creeps in, remember, worry is a thief. Don't let it rob you of what you could be giving to God in worship. Your peace, your trust, your surrender, that's what he's after. That's where the power is. Don't waste your worship on worry. Redirect it, reclaim it, and watch what God does when you praise him before the breakthrough. Let me leave you with this. God will open the right door, so don't worry. All the delay you faced, all the closed doors, all the moments that felt like missed opportunities, they weren't setbacks. They were strategy. Heaven's version of wait is not the same as no. It's divine preparation. It's customized protection. It's God shaping you for what he's preparing and shaping what's coming to fit who you're becoming. If the door is locked, it's because it's not time or it's not yours. And if it is yours, no force in hell can keep it from opening. But until it does, don't waste your peace worrying. Don't let fear rob you of the faith you've built. Stay obedient, stay faithful, stay in alignment, worship while you wait, trust while it's quiet, obey when it's hard. Because when God's timing meets your preparation, doors don't just open, they swing wide. And when they do, you'll walk through with clarity, confidence, and confirmation that it was all part of his plan. So breathe deep, stand tall, and stop stressing about what's next. God's already there, and when he opens the right door, you'll realize why every delay, every detour, and every disappointment had a purpose. Don't worry, just walk by faith. The door will open. Consistency is not a feeling, it's a force. And if you're waiting to feel like it before you do it, you've already lost. Winners don't consult their emotions before they act. They make a decision and then force their lives to come into alignment with that decision. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. And if your standard is inconsistency, then failure is not an accident, it's an appointment. Let me tell you something. Success doesn't come to the most gifted. It comes to the most faithful. The people who win in life are not always the smartest, the most talented, or the most connected. They're the ones who refuse to quit showing up. They show up tired, they show up broken, they show up without applause, but they show up. And that's why they win. You've got to stop giving yourself permission to quit. Every time you break your word to yourself, you're stealing from your future. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you're robbing the version of you that's praying for breakthrough. Consistency isn't convenient, it's costly. But that cost is the price of greatness. And those who are unwilling to pay it will live beneath their potential for the rest of their lives. Listen, confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And you build it by keeping promises to yourself. When you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you're someone worth trusting. And when you trust yourself, you move different, you speak different, you lead different. People feel it. They may not be able to explain it, but they'll follow it. Some of you are praying for results, but you're not planting any consistency. Let me remind you, God doesn't bless laziness. He doesn't multiply inconsistency. You can't pray for harvest while refusing to plant seed. Your daily disciplines are seeds. Your quiet obedience is seed. And consistency is what waters those seeds until the overflow shows up. Stop asking for abundance while you're still living in rebellion to routine. Excuses are killing your future. And the worst part, they sound justifiable. You've convinced yourself that your struggle makes inconsistency acceptable. But hear me, your struggle is why you must be consistent. You don't get to become who you were called to be by making peace with mediocrity. You have to declare war on your comfort zone and evict every excuse living in your mind. You weren't created to survive. You were built to dominate. Success is not a mystery. It's not reserved for the elite. It's a system, a pattern, a rhythm, and consistency is the beat that keeps it alive. Do the work. Show up daily. Say no to distractions. Say yes to discipline. Build habits that serve your purpose. And when the feelings wear off, and they will, force yourself to remain faithful. Faithfulness is not just a spiritual principle, it's a success strategy. Consistency will turn your struggle into strength, your habits into harvest, and your discipline into destiny. So stop waiting to feel it. Stop checking if it's convenient and force yourself to be consistent. Your future depends on it. Discipline over desire means you stop letting how you feel dictate what you do. Desire is fickle. It comes and goes with your mood, your energy, your circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is fixed. It's anchored. It's a decision you make ahead of time and refuse to back down from, no matter what your emotions are saying in the moment. If you live by desire, you'll always need motivation. If you live by discipline, you'll create momentum, and momentum will carry you places that motivation never could. Desire tells you to rest when you're supposed to rise. It tells you to skip the workout, delay the call, put off the meeting, or procrastinate on the plan. It gives you 100 justifications for staying average. But discipline doesn't negotiate. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. Discipline wakes you up early, makes you uncomfortable, and demands your excellence, even when no one is watching. The truth is, you will never feel like doing the right thing every day. You will not always be inspired. But the disciplined person doesn't need inspiration to take action. They've trained themselves to move based on principle, not preference. They've built a system that ignores the emotional noise and obeys the original decision. You can't live a purpose-driven life while taking orders from your feelings. Feelings are indicators, not instructors. Discipline is the only voice that should sit in the decision-making seat of your life. When you choose discipline over desire, you take your power back. You stop being a slave to your impulses and start becoming the master of your outcomes. You begin to lead your life instead of react to it. And over time, that decision made again and again becomes your superpower, becomes the reason why you succeed when others give up. It becomes the quiet engine driving every achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of greatness. Discipline is how you honor your purpose. It's how you protect your potential. It's how you build the life you were created to live. Desire might feel good in the moment, but discipline makes you feel proud for a lifetime. So when the battle between comfort and calling shows up, and it will, choose discipline every time. The consistency creates confidence because every time you show up, even when it's hard, you're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. Confidence isn't built by hype, compliments, or empty affirmations. It's built by results. And those results are only produced when you do the work repeatedly, regardless of how you feel. And when you keep showing up, when you keep pushing through, when you keep honoring your commitments, you start to believe in your own power. You develop a deep, unshakable confidence, not because someone told you you're great, but because you proved it to yourself in the dark. Most people want to feel confident before they act, but the truth is confidence doesn't precede consistency, it follows it. You don't become bold by waiting until you feel ready. You become bold by doing it scared, doing it unsure, doing it uncertain, and discovering that you're stronger than your doubt. Confidence grows in the soil of repeated action. You speak differently, walk differently, think differently when you know you're the kind of person who follows through. That's not arrogance, that's alignment, that's the power of integrity, that's the result of consistency. Consistency removes the need for external validation because you're no longer hoping to be great, you know you are becoming great. You've got evidence, you've got history, you've got receipts. You've done it before and you'll do it again. That's why confidence people don't have to talk about what they're going to do. They just do it. And their track record speaks for them. When you're consistent, your habits speak louder than your words ever could. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is not filled with talent. It's filled with consistency. Every day you show up, you shorten that gap. You bring the vision closer. You align your identity with your actions, and that alignment creates internal confidence that no setback, no critic, no failure can shake. The world respects consistency. Opportunities find the consistent. Results follow the consistent because consistency is the proof that you're serious. So if you want more confidence, don't chase the feeling, chase the pattern, build the rhythm. Get in motion, keep your word, show up when it's boring, stay the course when it's not exciting. And over time, you won't just feel confident, you'll become confident, not because you said it, but because you lived it. That's the power of consistency. Habits build legacy, not hype, because hype is loud, temporary, and emotional, but legacy is quiet, consistent, and eternal. Hype will get people to notice you for a moment, but habits are what keep you relevant for a lifetime. You don't build a meaningful life off of viral moments or motivational highs. You build it by what you do daily when nobody's watching, when no one is clapping, when the spotlight is off. The true measure of greatness is not how high you can jump when you're excited, but how long you can walk in the same direction when you're tired. People chase hype because it feels good. It's fast, flashy, and makes noise. But hype fades. It's built on perception, not substance. And if all you've got is hype without habits, your success will be shallow and short-lived. On the other hand, habits are slow, deliberate, and often unglamorous, but they compound, they build layer upon layer, brick upon brick, until they form a structure that time can't shake and critics can't break. That's how legacy is built, not in moments, but in methods. Your habits are either preparing you for your future or pulling you away from it. Every day you repeat a behavior, you're casting a vote for the type of person you're becoming. The legacy you leave behind will not be defined by one major accomplishment, but by the character you build through daily discipline. A person of greatness doesn't wait for big moments. They master small ones. They understand that excellence is not an act, it's a habit. It's who they are behind closed doors that determines who they become in public. If you want to leave a mark that outlasts you, stop chasing attention and start chasing alignment. Align your actions with your assignment. Build habits that serve your vision. Live a life of structure and intention, because hype might make you popular, but habits make you powerful. The world doesn't need more hype, it needs more examples. It needs more people who live what they preach, who walk out their purpose day after day, and who don't quit when it stops being exciting. So don't get discouraged when it feels mundane. Don't despise the small beginnings. Keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep refining your routine, because while hype fades, habits forge legacy. And legacy is what echoes after you're gone. Obedience produces overflow because it puts you in alignment with divine order. When you do what you're supposed to do, when you follow through, stay faithful, and walk in discipline, you're not just building habits, you're unlocking blessings. Obedience isn't just about doing the right thing. It's about being in the right position to receive what's already been prepared for you. God doesn't bless, he blesses order. And order comes through obedience. Many people are praying for overflow while living in rebellion to the very principles that produce it. You can't ask for abundance while disobeying the system that creates abundance. Overflow isn't the result of luck. It's the result of alignment. When your life lines up with the laws of sowing and reaping, discipline and diligence, stewardship and faithfulness, you activate a spiritual law that multiplies what you put in. The world calls it consistency, but the kingdom calls it obedience. And that obedience always produces increase, not immediately, but inevitably. There are blessings that are delayed, not because they've been denied, but because the vessel isn't ready to receive them. Obedience is what prepares the vessel. It expands your capacity. It stretches your character. It matures your mindset so you can manage what you're asking for. Overflow isn't just about more, it's about sustainability. And only an obedient heart can sustain divine abundance without sabotaging it. When you obey consistently, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is cheering you on, you're planting seeds into soil that never fails. That's where overflow comes from, not from striving harder, but from trusting deeper. Obedience is an act of faith. It's saying, I may not see the harvest yet, but I trust the principle. I trust the process. I trust the one who gave me the instruction. Overflow isn't just about money either. It's peace, it's wisdom, it's favor. It's open doors you didn't knock on. It's opportunities you didn't chase. It's people coming into your life you didn't expect. Obedience draws all of that in because it proves you're ready to carry more than what you currently have. And once God can trust you with the small through obedience, he'll release the overflow that you couldn't earn on your own. So stop praying for blessings that your habits can't hold. Start living in obedience daily, quietly, faithfully, and watch what happens. Obedience doesn't always look dramatic, but behind the scenes, it's creating a ripple effect that leads to supernatural increase. You don't need more hype, you need more obedience. Because obedience always produces overflow. Excuses are the language of mediocrity because they allow you to stay comfortable while blaming something or someone else for your lack of results. They sound reasonable, they sound justified, but they keep you broke, broken, and behind. Every excuse you make is a story you tell yourself to protect your ego instead of confront your reality. And as long as you keep speaking the language of excuses, you'll never learn the discipline of execution. You cannot rise while you're still explaining why you haven't moved. Excuses are the lies that average people use to feel okay about quitting. They disguise themselves as logic, but they are chains. Chains that keep you bound to the level you say you want to leave. You say you want success, but your excuses prove you're more committed to comfort. You say you want breakthrough, but your language still defends limitations. Until you confront that contradiction, you'll stay stuck. You'll hustle in circles, always moving but never arriving because your mind is still negotiating with mediocrity. Mediocrity is not a result, it's a mindset. And that mindset speaks through delay, doubt, distraction, and justification. It says, I'll start tomorrow. It says, I don't have time. It says it's not the right season. But excellence doesn't speak that way. Excellence says, if not now, when? Excellence finds a way. Mediocrity finds an excuse. You can't speak both languages. One will silence the other. Either you silence your excuses, or your excuses will silence your progress. You've got to get honest. Your future does not care about your excuses. Your purpose doesn't pause because life got hard. Your calling doesn't shrink just because you feel tired. The real question is not what's in your way. The real question is, what have you allowed to become acceptable? What have you permitted? Because what you tolerate, you cannot transform. As long as you keep giving yourself an out, you will never give yourself fully to the process. And only full commitment produces full transformation. Excuses feel good in the short term, but they cost you everything in the long term. They rob you of ownership, and without ownership, you'll never build anything worth keeping. Greatness demands that you stop blaming your past, your pain, your parents, your partner, your job, your circumstances, and take full responsibility for your life. That's not pressure, that's power. Because once you own it, you can change it. So cancel the contract you've made with mediocrity. Fire the voice of excuse in your mind and speak the language of responsibility, of ownership, of execution. Because excuses might make you feel safe, but they will never let you win. And you were not born to be average, you were born to rise. But you can't rise until you stop making excuses. Success isn't a secret, it's a system. Too many people are waiting for some hidden formula or magical moment to change their lives, when in reality, success is the predictable outcome of following a specific set of principles over time. It's not reserved for the chosen few. It's available to anyone who's willing to submit to the process. The problem isn't that success is hiding from you. It's that most people are unwilling to do the daily, unglamorous work that success requires. They want the results without the repetition. They want the reward without the routine. There's a reason successful people seem to keep winning. It's not luck. It's not a secret. It's structure. It's systems. It's habits, patterns, and disciplines, repeated consistently, even when motivation runs out. Successful people don't just set goals. They build systems that support those goals. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on workflows. They don't wake up wondering what to do. They already know. Their actions are scheduled, their outcomes are measured, and their energy is focused. That's how they keep growing even when others are stuck. Waiting for inspiration is a trap. Chasing motivation is a dead end. Success doesn't come to the most inspired, it comes to the most prepared. And preparation is the product of a system. It's what you do every morning when no one's watching. It's the way you organize your time, the way you manage your mind, the way you filter your focus. Every breakthrough you see in someone's life is the byproduct of a system that worked behind the scenes long before the spotlight showed up. You rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your systems. And if your system is disorganized, undisciplined, and driven by emotion, your life will reflect that. But if your system is intentional, focused, and executed with consistency, you will inevitably rise. That's not theory, it's law. It's cause and effect. Sow the system, reap the success. You've got to stop looking for shortcuts and start building structure. Stop looking for secrets and start creating strategy. This isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter, on purpose, with intention. It's about designing your day, managing your mind, mastering your minutes. When you do that, success becomes inevitable, not accidental. So stop idolizing what you think you don't know and start executing what you already do know. Build the system, trust the system, commit to the system. Because success is not a mystery, it's a method. It's not hidden, it's habitual. And the moment you start honoring the system will start producing success every time. At the end of the day, your future will not be built by hype, emotion, or good intentions. It will be built by what you do when no one's clapping, when no one's looking, and when it would be easier to quit. You've heard the truth. Force yourself to be consistent because consistency creates confidence. Choose discipline over desire because desire fades, but discipline forms destiny. Understand that habits, not hype, build legacy. Obedience, not just effort, produces overflow. Excuses are the language of mediocrity, but execution is the voice of greatness. And success, it's not a secret, it's a system. Everything you want, abundance, impact, legacy, freedom, is on the other side of the choices you make daily. Stop looking for a way out and start locking in on the way through. Refuse to live by feelings. Refuse to negotiate with your old self. Refuse to speak the language of average. Instead, take command, set the standard, build the system, honor the process, trust the principle, and show up over and over again until your consistency demands the breakthrough. You weren't created to live small, think average, or settle for scraps. You were designed to dominate. But domination only belongs to the disciplined. Legacy only belongs to the obedient. And overflow only belongs to the consistent. So rise up, take full responsibility, force yourself to be consistent, and the future you desire will have no choice but to show up every single time. You don't have a money problem, you have a mindset problem. You don't have a time problem, you have a priority problem. You don't have a God problem, you have a disobedience problem. And until you stop lying to yourself, nothing will change. You keep saying you're waiting on God, but the truth is, He's waiting on you to wake up, stand up, and show up for your assignment. You were created to dominate, to multiply, to subdue. That's Genesis 1:28. But you're living like you're cursed when you were born blessed. Living like a servant when you were called to be a king. Stop blaming the season. Stop blaming the struggle. Stop blaming the system. Your situation is not your ceiling unless you make it one. You're not stuck. You're just sleeping on your calling. And I came to wake you up because the truth is this: successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do, even in their free time. And if you're still treating your free time like it's cheap, you'll stay broke, confused, and behind. You want success? You want abundance? You want overflow? Then listen to me. Successful people use their free time to sharpen their calling. They study, they build, they strategize, they rehearse. They don't scroll for comfort. They grind for clarity. They don't binge on distraction. They binge on direction. Because while average people escape, the elite elevate. And if you're serious about breaking cycles, building wealth, and fulfilling the call of God on your life, then your free time better start looking like preparation, not procrastination. Because destiny doesn't visit the lazy. It rewards the ready. Let me say this as clear as I can. Wasted time is spiritual disobedience. And if that offends you, good, because the truth is supposed to offend what's been holding you back. See, we've been lied to. We've been trained to treat time like it's optional, like it's disposable. But listen, God gave you time as an assignment, not a distraction. And if you're squandering it, you're not just being lazy, you're being disobedient. You're actively rejecting the very stewardship that unlocks overflow. You're praying for harvest while choking the soil with Netflix, gossip, and endless scrolling. You don't need more time, you need more focus. You don't need more hours, you need more honor for the hours you already have. Let me ask you something. If God gave you $1 million right now, would you manage it better than your 24 hours today? Because time is worth more than money. Money lost can be regained. Time lost is gone forever. The problem is most people treat their time like a trash can, not a treasure chest. They dump other people's drama into it. They let distractions hijack it. They leave their purpose on pending and think obedience can wait until they're comfortable. But listen, delayed obedience is still disobedience. And disobedience will always cost you what discipline would have delivered. You say God's not blessing you. No, He is, but you're too distracted to notice. He opened the door, but you were too busy watching other people's lives to walk through it. You want divine increase while living with human excuses. Let me break this down for you. Your time is your life. You trade your time, you trade your life. And when you waste your time, you're telling God I'm not ready for the next level. You want to go from minimum wage to millions? It won't happen by accident. It won't happen by comfort. It will only happen when you treat time like a seed, not entertainment. God gave you dominion, but dominion demands discipline. And discipline starts with how you spend your hours when no one's watching. That's why I'm not impressed by your dreams if I don't see a calendar to back it up. Don't tell me you want to build generational wealth and you still live like Saturday is a holy day for scrolling. You want to shift your life? Stop treating your free time like it's free. It's either building your destiny or burying it. Now lean in. Because here's the second law. If you don't command your time, chaos will. Time doesn't manage itself. Success doesn't schedule itself. Focus doesn't happen by accident. There is a war for your attention every single day. And if you don't take authority over your time, the enemy will gladly manage it for you. And let me tell you what his plan is. Confusion, delay, frustration, stagnation. He wants to keep you distracted long enough to die with your potential locked up inside you. This is why most people live reactive lives. They wait for the world to tell them what to do. They wait for emails, texts, likes, and notifications to dictate their day. That's not dominion, that's bondage. The successful don't wait for permission to be productive. They command their time. They decide what gets attention. They direct their day before the day directs them. They don't let emotion write the schedule. They don't let fatigue dictate the mission. They say, this time belongs to my purpose. This hour belongs to my legacy. This day belongs to the calling of God on my life, and nothing petty, toxic, or trivial is getting in the way. You have to build borders around your time like a millionaire builds borders around their bank account. Because where there are no boundaries, there will always be theft. And the enemy doesn't just steal with violence, he steals with distraction. Let me say it again. If you don't command your time, chaos will. And chaos doesn't care how spiritual you sound. Chaos doesn't care how many affirmations you post. Chaos doesn't care how big your vision board is. Chaos only respects authority. And authority only works when it's enforced. So ask yourself, who's commanding your time right now? Your boss? Your friends? Your fear? Your phone? Or is it you? The one made in the image of God, redeemed by the blood, filled with the Spirit, and called to lead, not follow. You can't walk in kingdom wealth with a chaotic calendar. You can't lead others when your own day owns you. You can't multiply what you won't first master. So hear me loud and clear. Your breakthrough is in your calendar. Your future is hiding in your schedule. Your next level isn't delayed by the devil. It's delayed by your discipline. Every minute matters. Every distraction costs. Every excuse is a thief. Don't say you don't have time. Say you didn't take it. But starting now, right now, you take it back. You cancel what doesn't build. You cut what doesn't multiply. You confront the laziness that calls itself rest, but smells like rebellion. And you commit before heaven and earth to treat your time like you believe God gave it to you for a reason, because he did. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you're called to be is how you use the hours in front of you. So let's go. Take dominion, command your time, multiply your life, and give God something he can breathe on. No more wasting, no more waiting. Let the overflow begin. Let's cut through the noise. Success is engineered, not inherited. God won't bless what you won't steward. Now, stop waiting for a handout and start building what heaven already handed you. You think wealth just happens? You think greatness just falls on you because you prayed real hard and showed up on time? Wrong. Favor doesn't override foolishness. Anointing doesn't excuse laziness. An inheritance without instruction will always end in destruction. You don't accidentally become successful. You engineer it, blueprint, build, breakthrough. And you do it on purpose, with purpose, for purpose. See, we live in a culture that loves to glamorize the arrival, but ignores the process. People want the blessing, but don't want to build the habits that attract it. They want the mansion, but still thinking with minimum wage stewardship. They want freedom, but live like slaves to impulse. Success isn't mystery, it's principle, it's law, it's obedience applied over time with discipline. God is not obligated to bless what you refuse to manage. That's why some of you are crying out for overflow when you still leak. You don't have a money problem, you've got a management problem. You're praying for God to trust you with more, but your current stewardship disqualifies you for the increase. Read your Bible. Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. One man got 5, one got 2, one got 1. And the one who buried his talent, the one who didn't multiply it, had it taken away and handed to the man who was faithful. Why? Because in the kingdom, increase goes to the one who stewards well, not the one who complains well. The one who multiplies, not the one who monitors everyone else's blessings. You want to walk in abundance? Stop waiting for a miracle and start managing like a miracle is coming. Start organizing like opportunity is on the way. Start preparing like overflow is the next stage. Not some fantasy. You think millionaires become millionaires by accident? No. They build systems, they track patterns, they learn, they fail forward, they engineer results through action, reflection, correction, and repetition. You want a 6-figure business, but you don't even track your spending. You want financial freedom, but you can't tell me where your last $100, 0 cents went. That's not strategy, that's spiritual negligence. Stewardship is worship. Excellence is alignment. Diligence is proof of honor. Let me say that again because somebody needs to get it burned into their mind. Stewardship is worship. When you manage what God gave you like it's sacred, because it is, you invite supernatural increase into your life. You're not waiting on God, He's waiting on you to manage what He already gave you. Some of you keep praying for God to bless your business, but your calendar is chaos, your emails are unread, your systems are broken, and your follow-up is a joke. That's not spiritual warfare. That's poor stewardship. And God's not going to bless disorder. He is a God of order. He blessed the 6 days of creation, not the chaos before it. You want results? You want the promise? Then start building the process. Write the plan, track the numbers, manage the flow, serve the clients, refine the system, build the structure, honor the work. Because success doesn't show up randomly, it shows up to the prepared. Stop acting like favor is a lottery ticket. It's not. It's a seed. And seeds only grow in soil that's been stewarded. And let me be blunt, some of you are mad at God for not blessing your life when you haven't done anything with what He already gave you. You don't need more prophecies, you need more productivity. You don't need another word, you need work. You don't need another opportunity, you need to honor the one you missed. Faith without works is dead. Stop trying to spiritualize laziness. No scripture that excuses poor execution. You can't outsource your discipline. You can't pray your way out of principles you refuse to obey. That's why so many believers stay broke, not because they lack blessing, but because they lack structure. They don't steward the business. They don't track the income. They don't invest in the skill. They don't honor the opportunity. God gives seed to the sower, not the dreamer, not the scroller, not the talker, the sower. So if you've been asking for increase, check your hands. Are they sowing or are they just scrolling? If you want to rise, build like it. If you want more, manage what's already in front of you like it's the last thing you'll ever touch. Because here's the truth. God won't bless what you won't steward. You can fast, you can cry, you can beg, but if you're burying the talent, if you're neglecting the calling, if you're sleeping on the gift, God will take what you buried and give it to someone who will multiply it. He's a God of multiplication, but multiplication follows movement. And movement starts with management. Stop blaming lack. Stop blaming people. Start building like a person who knows success is engineered, not inherited. You don't need someone else's legacy. You don't need their inheritance. You need to maximize what's in your hands and walk like a king who's been given domain to rule and multiply. The only difference between a broke believer and a wealthy one is what they do with the same 24 hours. So ask yourself right now, am I managing this day like it matters? Am I building like I expect heaven to bless it? Am I stewarding this assignment like it's sacred? Because success doesn't come to the one who waits, it comes to the one who works while they wait. So go build, go steward, go engineer the future you keep praying for, because God already gave you the blueprint. Now it's your turn to lay the bricks. Your circle is a prophecy of your cycle. If you want to know where your life is headed, look at your circle. Your circle is not innocent. It's either pulling you forward or dragging you backward. Show me your 5 closest voices and I'll show you your future. You're not stuck, you're surrounded. Surrounded by small thinking, comfort talk, broke mindsets dressed in fake encouragement. Stop calling it loyalty when it's actually sabotage. You weren't born to blend in, you were born to break out. You can't carry greatness and cling to average. You can't speak millionaire and hang with minimum wage thinking. Your circle is either your launch pad or your lid. And if they're not building, you're bleeding. Cut it or stay stuck. But don't say God isn't opening doors when you're surrounded by people who hate windows. Free time is the training ground for dominion. What you do when no one's watching is the clearest prophecy of your destiny. Free time isn't free, it's leverage. It's the proving ground. It's where kings are forged and fools are formed. You want dominion, but you treat your spare time like trash? That's why you're stuck. You're building comfort instead of capacity. Rest isn't scrolling. Restoration isn't escapism. Free time is divine equity, and the ones who multiply it rule. The gym, the book, the journal, the plan. That's where empires start. You're not tired. You're undisciplined. Use your free time like a weapon, or it'll be used against you. What you do in silence decides what you can carry in public. You don't rise by desire, you rise by discipline. Wanting it isn't enough. Dreaming doesn't do it. Praying without producing is spiritual delusion. Desire is the spark, but discipline is the engine. Everybody wants success until it requires sacrifice. Until it costs sleep, comfort, ego, or convenience. But listen, God doesn't promote potential. He promotes performance under pressure. You rise when you train your flesh to obey your spirit. Discipline is divine. It's alignment in motion. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll always be broke, stuck, average. Winners don't wait for mood. They move on mission. Want to rise? Then master the small stuff. Track your time, tighten your habits when it's boring. Grow when it hurts. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for with relentless consistency. Rest without purpose is disguised rebellion. Laziness doesn't always look lazy. Sometimes it wears the mask of self-care. You say you're resting, but you're actually hiding. Hiding from the assignment, hiding from the work, hiding from the standard God called you to uphold. Rest is holy, but when it's not tied to purpose, it becomes rebellion. You're not recharging, you're retreating. You're not resting in faith, you're resting in fear. You want more, but your schedule says, I'm fine staying small. Let me make it plain. If your rest doesn't prepare you for the next level, it's not rest, it's resistance. God didn't call you to collapse, He called you to conquer. So rest with purpose, plan your recharge like your life depends on it, because it does. Restoration should fuel you for dominion, not sedate you into delay. What you consume is what you become. You can't feed your spirit garbage and expect greatness to come out. What you read, watch, listen to, and scroll through is shaping you. Whether you admit it or not, you're either programming your mind for power or poisoning it with passivity. You binge drama, fear, gossip, and lust, and then wonder why your life lacks peace, vision, and discipline. The word says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. That means your input is your identity. You want to walk in kingdom authority? Then feed your mind like it's royalty. Podcasts that build, books that stretch, scripture that convicts, conversations that elevate. Cut the junk, curate your life like your purpose depends on it, because it does. You can't cast out demons you invite through entertainment. You can't walk in power with a passive mind. What you consume is what you're becoming. So choose wisely. If you don't build your vision, you'll live inside someone else's. This world doesn't reward wanderers, it rewards builders. Vision isn't a luxury, it's your lifeline. Without it, you perish. Proverbs 29:18. If you don't wake up clear, you'll wake up confused. If you don't define the mission, distraction will. That 9 to 5, that's someone else's dream. That endless scrolling, that's someone else's agenda. Every day you delay your vision, you're renting space in a system that profits from your passivity. It's time to build and not just talk about it. Write the vision, make it plain, schedule it, structure it, fund it, speak it until it shapes your reality. Vision isn't just dreaming big, it's building with God. Co-create, co-labor, co-steward. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break molds and build movements. Stop leasing your future to mediocrity. Own your vision like your name depends on it, because it does. You've heard the truth. Now the only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Because let's be clear, your future doesn't change when you feel inspired. It changes when you get disciplined, when you decide, when you move. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. You've been praying for clarity. This is your confirmation. You've been begging God to do something new. He's telling you to become something new. This ain't about hype. This is about stewardship. Obedience, exequios. This is about showing God he can trust you with more, because you're finally doing something with what he already gave you. You've got the time. You've got the talent. You've got the breath in your lungs. What you don't have is the luxury to keep wasting it, because purpose delayed is purpose denied. And if you don't use your free time to build the kingdom within you, the world will use it to distract and drain you. Stop playing broke with a father who owns everything. Stop shrinking your life to fit your comfort when God designed you for dominion. You are a king, a builder, a multiplier. You were born to create, to conquer, to lead. So it's time to stop waiting, stop watching, and start building, because the life you're called to live is on the other side of the work you keep avoiding. No more excuses, no more delay. Your greatness is waiting on your yes. Now go build like heaven is watching, because it is. God already gave you the seed. Now move like the harvest is guaranteed. This is your moment. Act like it, build like it, believe like it.